morning of November 4th finds Justin Kamps following a long, deep ditch into the Illinois hardwoods for a highly anticipated all-day sit.
Okay, we're heading into our stand this morning. We dropped down into a big ravine, and then we just follow this creek bed up, and that way we can get almost to our stand. We got to climb a big ridge, and we're perched right on the edge of a really good bedding area, so it's good access coming through the bottom here, and then we just climb straight up to our stand. So killed my buck a year ago yesterday here. Let's try to get a repeat.
"250 miles to the northwest, Owen Riegler is settled in, hoping the new day brings another action-packed hunt.
Well, welcome back. Here we are, November 4th. Got a beautiful morning just to be out. It's not too cold, not too warm. It's like 41 degrees, I think. Pretty nice. The wind is out of the south, but really light. It's like 2-mile-an-hour wind. And we got a pretty nice buck across the way already we've seen. Just getting shooting light here. We're back in that kind of one of these rut stands. Access isn't as good as some of these others, but we're in kind of a cruising point. We got a creek bottom runs east to west through here. So we're hoping we catch him cruising back and forth. We're in that area where we're hoping to see Wolverine. We're actually a little east of where I would think I would see him, but this time of year you never know. He could be covering a little bit more ground, so that's the one we're hoping to see. Let's set in here and see how it goes. Man, that's a nice looking buck. He looks young, but he's got a dandy rack on him. I don't know what his problem was. He caught movement there, or we got some swirling winds. I don't know which, but he turned and got out of here, which was fine. That's gonna be a future giant, I bet you. Well, we had a pretty good buck parade this morning, but I'm gonna go check some cameras, put some more cameras up at the new farm, so I'm gonna go get that done, then we'll get ready for the afternoon hunt. We'll see you guys in a little bit.
As Owen packs his things and heads to the new farm, back in Illinois with Justin, the morning action continues.
Well, it's maybe 10 o'clock, and we've seen 2 bucks so far. One came cruising through, and then saw that an 8-point up in the way, 100 or so yards, so I grunted at him. And he came right downwind of us, and I was trying to figure out where that grunt came from. And so just a super pretty, I think he's just a 2-year-old, but man, what an awesome deer. His shape looks really similar to birthday buck, so he could be his son, but cool encounter. Most of the cameras that we've been seeing the last few days have been midday movement, like 11 to 2 range, so hopefully things pick up here in the bedding area. one of our neighbors shot one of our target bucks we call T-Rex yesterday at 1:30. So our plan is to sit here all day and hopefully the big boys start cruising soon. Right there.
Give me some, dude.
He is a giant 8-point. Wow. It has been really slow. We've been sitting here all day. It's well after 5. We rattled in a few little bucks today and one decent 4, and we just had a little buck chase a doe past us. And a few minutes later, David says, I hear something walking, grab your bow. So I do, and here's Buster Douglas. He comes into 20 yards and I just put a good shot on him. Yes, November 4, love it. Wow, what a deer. I have shaken like a leaf. We wanted it with this wind, that's what we said. Been waiting all week, well, a couple weeks for south wind in this middle of this bedding area. This area is just so good. There's a little finger that runs out along this ridge, and once you go in the bottom of the finger, it kind of connects to 4 different ridges here. And yeah, Dad set this stand when the first year we had this farm, and it's been money ever since. So back-to-back years, tagged out, November 3, now November 4. Wow.
Got him.
Dude.
Boom. Well, here we are, sweet November 4th, behind a buck we call Buster Douglas. Just an absolute monster 8-point. So excited, elated to lay my hands on him. We've been after him for a few years. Last year was a really, really pretty 8-point. We decided to let him go one more year. I found his sheds this winter, and he was a beautiful deer. And man, he grew even more than I ever expected and ever thought an 8-point could be. But we had encounters with Buster Tuesday night. My brother almost shot him. Mitchell saw him, Titus saw him all this week, and then we saw him Tuesday night late, but he was just a little too far and it was a little too dark. So today we went back into the bedding area. We've been waiting all week for a south wind to go into a special stand that Dad hung many years back in a buck or in a stand that I shot the shed buck on last year, November 3. You have to walk up the bottom of a creek bottom, and then you pop up a steep ridge into the stand, and it's been a tremendous stand for us. We're taking some good deer, but this one's truly special. Buster Douglas.
On the afternoon of November 4th, Colin Giles is deep in the Minnesota hardwoods surrounded by cruising bucks.
Rep. Yes. We're on the board here. I've been hunting hard. That's the first time I've ever been able to stick a buck self-filming. And hats off to the guys that do it on a regular basis, man. That's as tough as it gets.
Although both Justin and Colin enjoyed successful hunts, the afternoon proves to be a bust for others. Owen elects to hunt a blind overlooking a clover field in search of the wolverine buck, but never sees a single deer. The following afternoon, Owen decides to target the buck he calls Lightswitch.
Alright guys, here we are, the afternoon, November 5th. As you can see, this wind's really picked up. It's probably gusting to 25 or so. But we're in a spot that's got a lot of cover, a lot of ravines, and this wind's out of the south, and it's got a lot of north-facing slopes and ravines and stuff in here, so it should be bedded in this pretty heavy, I think. There's always a lot of does here, so as far as rut hunting goes, it should set up well for that. We're after that Lightswitch buck. Problem with him is he's always so sporadic. I mean, he could be up here 1 second, an hour later, he's a mile away. He's just everywhere. This is where we sat, what was that, about 3 weeks ago, where we had that real nice buck come out in that clover. One we passed on. We're gonna call him the Bearcat buck. That's old Bearcat. It's around 3:30 right now, so we got a good little set ahead of us. I bet we'll see some deer. Man, is he ever gorgeous. When I first saw him standing at the edge of that path, I thought that was Lightswitch. I saw that big frame. But then when he walked out, I figured out what deer it was. That's a 4-year-old, of course. He's got a just beautiful wraparound beams. He's a big old buck. Come on, Lightswitch. Hopefully he's next.
Despite the close-range encounter with a gorgeous 4-year-old, Owen's primary target fails to make an appearance. With the sporadic nature of this buck, Owen's patience is beginning to run thin. Following a 3-day break, 130 miles to the northeast, Mike Reed is back on stand, hoping to write the final chapter in the Chubbs saga.
Well, Saturday, November 6th, and Ryan and I are set up on the home farm. We're back down in this creek bottom. Cherry tree is up at the top of the bean field here. This is just pretty heavy travel corridor, really thick all in here, lots of does bedding here. We've got a south wind blowing back towards the road. It's about mid-40s, really minimal wind, pretty day. We've seen one deer so far, and that's Big Mac. And he actually came, I don't know where he came from. I think he might have come from across the road, but he's in the CRP right here behind us. He's probably 80 yards away. He just bedded down. All we could see was his head when he was walking. He just bedded down right there, so. And hoping to catch up with Chubbs this morning. He's been pretty active the last couple days, so hopefully he's not with the doe and he's still up on his feet moving around. It was pretty cool to see Big Mac up close like that. We had him about 40 yards across the creek. When we spotted him this morning in the CRP, I thought he's got to be with a doe, but we never did see the doe. And then he bedded down and he stayed there for, I'd say, a couple of hours or so. Maybe not quite. And then all of a sudden, that doe got up and shot across the fence, and he got up and shot across the fence, and I don't know where the doe ever went. I think she's still right here, probably 30, 40 yards away. He lost her, and he's been standing there for an hour. It was like 55 minutes, and he was looking around for her. And I never saw her across the creek. And I really think she's still pretty close by. But anyway, he kind of walked around looking for her for a while, and then he just headed off to the east. We haven't really seen any cruising this morning. This creek sets up really well for them to cruise it on a south wind, but just haven't seen much of that. We did see one chase across in the big hayfield. Looked like a couple good bucks and a couple smaller bucks chasing a doe, and they just kept heading off over the hill, so we're going to sit in here a little while longer.
The 5.5-year-old giant-bodied buck Mike knows as Big Mac would return looking for the doe he recently lost. That is the final action of the morning, and once again Mike heads back to the drawing board in search of a plan for the highly elusive Chubbs. On the afternoon of November 6th, in southeast Iowa, Caleb Greiner settles into the tree at a property he believes to be holding a monster buck.
Well, good evening, guys. Today is November 6th, and I'm back at the hog farm today. This morning, we did a little hunting with Casey. It was her first time ever bow hunting, and we encountered a couple good bucks. One was a 3-year-old white 8, and the other one was just a bully 4-year-old 8. Both deer saw some movement in the tree, and we learned today that you can't move while the deer are looking right at you, but nonetheless, it was a lot of fun. She had fun too. And after I got out of the stand, I checked my phone when we got back to the truck, and sure enough, Heavy 10 was on trail camera at the hog farm. So I elected to come in here, do a hanging hunt with the hopes of this deer coming back to the north. He's been very, very frequent on camera over the last few weeks, and really he's the only frequent mature buck that's on camera here the last few weeks. And this is actually the southernmost part of his core area. He's been spending a lot of time to the north. I was actually hunting him a couple days ago on the north part of his core area, and that's about 2.5 miles from where I'm at right now. So with any luck, he comes back through, and we can catch him going back to the north, but hopefully deer start moving soon, so stay with us.
Alright guys, I'm pretty sure I just caught a glimpse of Heavy 10. He's about 150 yards up this ditch. Straight south of that Cudde bag that we got the picture of him on. I tried doing some grunting, tried a breeding grunt. He keeps moving around, looks like in a circle, and there's just so much cover in the way I can't get him on film. So my assumption is that he's got a doe with him right now, but I'm not 100% sure. I haven't seen a doe with him yet. I just know that there's two little bucks that went up there, so I'm gonna see what happens. He's somewhere right there. He's definitely got a doe with him.
As I contemplate where I think my best chance of running into Chubbs is in the afternoon, that's definitely the spot he seems to be most active.
Feels like rut finally just kicked in, finally. I haven't seen chasing like this yet this year. I mean, I bet I probably had 3 or 4 hot does around me.
We're after that Lightswitch buck. Problem with him is he's always so sporadic. I mean, he could be up here 1 second, an hour later, he's a mile away. He's just everywhere.
That's Buster Douglas right there.
Give me some.
He is a giant 8-point.
The first week has not disappointed as we witnessed phenomenal action. Justin Kamps tagged an impressive 8-pointer, and Colin Giles followed him with an epic hardwoods hunt in Minnesota. The days ahead bring the peak breeding phase of the rut. We expect big mature bucks covering ground in daylight, something they wouldn't do at any other time of the season. This is why we love November. We do our best to stay in the moment and not think too far ahead, for it only takes a single hunt to fill a year's worth of dreams. We hunt hard, analyze the results, and make adjustments. We wake each morning with a smile on our faces because we know we are on the doorstep of another day of chasing November.